Hi guys, welcome to the channel of Tawari Khani, and today we are going to share a very important and interesting anecdote that dates back almost 158 or 160 years back from a time of British India, and this is a colonial document prepared by Britishers as an ethnographic account or encyclopedia, and I selected and choose a title where they give a focus on the Pathans of Bareilly. And we know historically that Rohilkhand was a region that has a substantial number of Pathans populated here as a part of a diasporic community established here in mid 18th century, and it continued to flourish as an independent principality and later on occupied by or annexed by Awadh and then controlled by the Britishers. So the book titled here, where from where the excerpt has been taken, is "The People of India: A Series of Photographic Illustrations of the Races and Tribes of Hindustan," edited by J. Forbes Watson and John William Kaye, Indian Museum, London, 1868 to 1875. This is a very big and huge encyclopedic account. I just took a small excerpt from one of the pages. Although we know that many of the ethnographic bases that was 160 years back, these notions has been changed based on the modern genetic studies, and concept of the races and concept of the ethnography has been completely revised, but still it gives a good socio-cultural glimpses of the time. So let's start with the verbatim narrative from the book Pathans of Bareilly. The Mohammedans of India are divided into four general classes without distinction by the creed, namely Sayyid, Sheikh, Mughal, and Pathan. Of these, two first are the most numerous and most ancient. Sayyid, claiming to be descendant of Muhammad through Fatima, his daughter, and the Sheikhs constitute the remainder of those professing Mohammedanism who form the great bulk of the people. Pathan as well as Mughals are away from Sayyid and Sheikhs, but a clannish and exclusive spirit has in main kept them separate. The Mughals are the descendant of those immigrants into India who followed the Tartar and Turki invasions and dynasties, and who always constituted large proportion of imperial armies. The Pathan belong to the races of Afghans, who, the original Mohammedan invader of India, founded many dynasties of kings and emperors of Delhi and gradually formed the colonies in many portions of the country. So, till here is a succinct overview of our divisions in the Muslims, especially what's so called the Ashraf clans. Then, now coming to the Bareilly, again the verbatim narrative. Bareilly is the capital of the province of Rohilkhand, and the term is derived from Rohilla, an appellation which attached itself to all Afghans, most particularly to the inhabitants of the passes into Afghanistan and its neighbors, the tribe inhabiting the country to the northwest of Punjab, who were doubtless the progenitors of those of Rohilkhand. During the continuance of several Afghans and Pathan dynasties of Delhi, the Rohillas or the Pathans attained a very considerable local influence, settled themselves in the fertile provinces below the Himalayas range, and in particular near Bareilly, the provinces around which were eventually called Rohilkhand. From this locality, the imperial armies were constantly recruited, while the ranks of the Afghan settlers were as constantly augmented by immigrants from the original tribes. It was the body of this Pathan cavalry which accompanied Alauddin to the Deccan in 1310 and established the Mohammedan power there. And when the first Bahmani dynasty of the Deccan was founded by Hassan Gangu, himself of Afghan descent, his victories over the imperial troops sent to reduce him were mainly attributable to the fidelity and bravery of Afghan or Rohilla cavalry, which then constitute the main body of his army. From that early period, the Pathan settles in Deccan and the kingdom would eventually grow out of the Bahmani dynasty rose to considerable power. It was, however, in Rohilkhand only that they attained for a short time an independent government. On breaking up of a Mughal empire of Delhi, consequent upon the incursions of Marathas and its own inherent weakness, The Rohillas of Rohilkhand, under their chieftain Hafiz Rahmat Khan, defied the power of Nawab Wazir of Awadh and, assisted by Marathas, attained a local power which he could not subdue. This led to British forces being employed for the purpose under the treaty between Mr. Warren Hastings and Nawab of Awadh, Shujauddin in that case, just amending the name. In 1773 and 1774, the Rohilla chieftain was defeated and slain in action, and the independent power of Rohillas or Pathans ceased. An interesting thing here, Pathans and Rohilla, both terms has been used interchangeably by the colonial documents or archives. Since then, the Pathan power in the northwest provinces have never been revived, and through Amir Khan of Tok and few other military chiefs of old Mughal dynasty succeed in retaining their estates amidst the troubled period which attended the final extinction of the Empire of Delhi. Neither there and nor in the south of India have Pathans attained any permanent power, though the native Mohammedan armies, especially the cavalry, have been mainly recruited from these tribes, and the present time our own irregular cavalry in all parts of India is for the most part composed of them. Now, just a description, ethnographic description of the Pathans, especially from the Rohilkhand. The Pathans are like a warlike race and make brave and handy soldiers, but they are somewhat impatient of control, and it is difficult to render them fully amenable to discipline. They have rarely entered the infantry portion of the native army and best fitted for cavalry soldier or irregular levies such as the police. They have not mixed with the ordinary Muslim population of India and have, by marrying exclusively into their own Afghan tribes, preserved a peculiar and eminently national character. Many of them are very fair and have a grey or blue eyes of a parent stock with brown hairs. The women are described to be very handsome, but they are, if possible, more jealously guarded than any other of the Mohammedans. Pathans, beside being soldiers, are the dealer in the horses as well as breeders of them to a great extent. They are also bankers and money lenders, not objecting on religious ground to take usurious interest. They are often successful administrator of province under native governments, but in such position are not unfrequently violent and cruel. Among the tribes are found many dissenters from the Orthodox faith. Not a few of them are Shias and other believers in Ghair Mazhabi doctrines, which recognize a further revelation by a prophet who is appear hereafter. Wherever Pathan dynasties has existed in India, their architectural remains are of magnificent character. At Delhi and Agra, at Bijapur, at Mandu, at Burhanpur, the ruins and the palaces, mosques, mausoleums attest the magnificence of their founders. But it is by their noble fortifications as well as their scientific strength of constructions, as in picturesque character of their architecture embellishment, that they are perhaps most prominently distinguished throughout the India. Just a small disclaimer, this narration reproduces a 19th century colonial ethnographic text. Some of the description reflects the perspectives, assumptions, and terminology of bygone era and should be understood within their historical context rather than modern scholarly conclusion. Thank you. I hope you like this small ethnographic video, especially based on the Pathans of Bareilly. Hope to subscribe and share this video. Please don't forget to subscribe the channel of Tawari Khan.